Hey everyone, welcome to TV Recap. I'm Lance, and this is the recap for Westworld Season 1, Episode 10, titled The Bicameral Mind. Holy hell, guys, what an ending to an amazing season. Since all of the stories ended up converging this week, I'm going to cover the plot of this week in two sections, outside the park and inside the park. Now, starting outside the park, the finale was focused on Maeve's rebellion storyline with a couple of extra bits added in. The extra bits were a final few scenes showing Charlotte orchestrating the board's takeover of Westworld and Ford's forced retirement. Now, I didn't get a lot out of those scenes aside from the necessary advancement of the story, so let's talk about Maeve. Now, I thought this was a fantastic climax for Maeve's storyline. In the start of this episode, we got to see Armistice and Hector wake up, get their first revenge on the Masters, and see that they are not the gods that they were believed to be. During the escape, they find Bernard's body, which Felix is able to repair, and they manage to squeeze one of the funniest jokes of the season in. We also got an unexpected twist when Bernard revealed that Maeve's actions so far were actually programmed into her code, all the way up to getting on the train and getting to the mainland outside the park. Now, after Maeve's defiant exit, the escape kicked into high gear with Armistice and Hector discovering the joys of modern automatic weapons and the discovery of SW, possibly Samurai World? Ultimately, Armistice is trapped, Hector is heartbreakingly left behind, and Maeve gets on the train. Now, the big moment for her happens when she ultimately decides to get off the train to go back into the park for her daughter. Now, out of all of this, I think the two big takeaways are that even until the end of the episode, we were still missing pieces to this puzzle, and that Maeve has reached the height of her humanity, overriding her new narrative structure to look for the daughter that she still remembers. And I think we can all agree that the post-credits sequence with Armistice was purely badass. Now, moving inside the park, the season finale finally saw a full collision between Ford's, Dolores's, and the Man in Black storylines. Now, the meeting between the Man in Black and Dolores was not as cheerful as some people might have hoped, with the Man in Black pushing Dolores for the secret to the center of Arnold's maze. Now, through their struggle, we get confirmation that the Man in Black is actually an aged William, and Dolores then remembers that Arnold programmed her to kill all the other hosts in the park and himself as a way of preventing the park from ever being opened. Now, this revelation causes Dolores to tell William that the maze is not for him, and she fights back. Now, after a brutal fight where Dolores breaks his arm, William is able to stab Dolores, who's then rescued by Teddy. Now, we then get a stark reminder about how everything in this world is fake when it's revealed that Dolores' death in Teddy's arms is actually just part of Ford's new narrative. Now, the sudden switch to the story was definitely disorienting, and we can almost sympathize with William as he realizes that there's nothing for him in the maze. The celebration of the new narrative fits with the season's theme of guests being out of place in the park, and Ford has Dolores taken to his old field lab. Now, the biggest surprise of the season came when Ford reveals to both Dolores and Bernard that his initial disagreement with Arnold about the host was a mistake, and he spent the last 35 years trying to correct it. His explanation about the host needing memories of humans' cruelty manages to explain his terrible behavior to the host in all of the previous episodes in just a few short lines. And I think the key to all of it is Ford telling Dolores that to truly break free, she has to make the choice instead of being programmed to do it. Now, Anthony Hopkins manages to send Ford out in grand fashion with a strong speech, not so subtly criticizing the board and the guests before telling them that he hopes they enjoy his new narrative. Now, Dolores' murder of Ford then sparks a panic in the crowd. We miss the details of this aftermath as we follow William to the outskirts of the town to see the host from cold storage emerge from the trees. And I don't care how ominous that whole scene is, you have to feel happy for William when he realizes he's finally getting what he came to the park for. Now, before I wrap up, I want to touch on two season finale theories I have. First, I have to give credit to my wife for reminding me about the host Ford has been building in his field lab for the past few episodes. Now, we never saw what became of that host, so I think there's a very strong possibility that the Ford we saw in this episode was actually the host version. The best clue for this is the emphasis placed on the handshake between Ford and Bernard before Ford's goodbye. It was a little stiff and overly formal, which is telling considering the emphasis on handshakes Ford talked about in the first episode of the series. Now, the second theory I have actually involves what happened to Elsie and Stubbs. And I think we can actually assume Elsie is still alive based on her tablet checking in last episode. And now that we know what Ford's master plan actually was, I can't see any reason for Ford to actually kill them. Perhaps he just needed them out of the way so that he could finish his prep for his new narrative, and I'm really hoping we find that out early in Season 2. Overall, I thought this was a fantastic ending to the season. I was a little concerned about how slow the first 15 to 20 minutes went, but once the pace picked up, I could not pull my eyes away. The cuts between the storylines managed to fit into the themes of the individual scenes in a way that continued and advanced the plot seamlessly. And while some people might be wishing to have seen more of the final events, it's usually better to be wanting more than being overdone. Alright, so what did you guys think about the season finale of Westworld? Did it satisfy you, or do you now have more questions than before this week, which is entirely possible? Who might be coming back for next season, and where will the story go? And how can we just skip 2017 and go directly to 2018? Please leave any comments you have below this video for discussion. You can follow me at TV Recap on Twitter for updates on new videos and stories I see about the TV world. And make sure to subscribe on whatever device you're watching this on to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Now, I'm not done with Westworld, as I'm planning on having a full season recap episode next week, along with a discussion episode covering the entire season. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye.